What's going on, sports fans? Welcome to No Off-Season Media. I'm your host, Amari Sports. In today's video, we're going with the Week 6 picks, 3 weeks away from the middle of the NFL season. I am doing well so far in my Pick'em League. I am 50-29-1, and in my spreads, I am 2 games below 500 at 39-41. But before I get started on these picks, don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to comment or subscribe. More content available, and click notification bell wherever it may be. Click that and it will notify whenever I post a new video. But anyways, let's get it started. Washington Commanders at the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears open up as a 1-point favorite. I'm gonna just go ahead and take Washington to upset the Chicago Bears. Number one is Carson Wentz has his back against the corner against his head coach, Ron Rivera, who called him out this week. And number two is that the Washington Commanders are desperate. Their NFC East counterparts are all at 4 or more wins in the division. And the Washington Commanders are the only team that in a division only has 1 win. And I think that's going to play with a lot of bit of urgency. The matchup that everybody likes here is that Justin Fields will match up good against this Washington defense, and I think he will. But the problem is that when they were down big against Minnesota, they started showing some fight late, and I think Minnesota in that game was just out of gas at that point from traveling from London all the way back, which allowed Chicago to come in that ball game. But I like Washington's spot. I think it's a get-back game for Washington. Washington, whenever they play in Soldier Field the last 5 times, is 5-0 against the spread. So I like Washington to win this game and to cover. Washington wins 27-17 over Chicago. Take Washington in the points. 49ers at Falcons. San Francisco is favored by 5.5 against Atlanta. Even though Atlanta has been covering the spread in the last 5 weeks, I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers to win this game outright and defeat Atlanta by more than at least 6 points. Number one is that the 49ers defense is really, really good. And number two is that San Francisco travels really well in these Eastern time zone games. We've seen this last week against the Panthers. They were able to jam their foot down on the Panthers. And I think it's going to be the exact same way with the Falcons. Another thing that makes me worry about with Atlanta is that how are they going to come back after being down 21-0 against Tampa and scoring 15 unanswered points and being 1 down away from potentially winning that game if it wasn't for the roughing the passer call that was called on Grady Jarrett, sacking Tom Brady. But I really like San Francisco here. They will run the ball on Atlanta. They will pass the ball on these play action passes to defeat the Falcons. I really like San Francisco here. I think Atlanta doesn't cover this at all. I think 5.5 is just where the number is. So give me San Francisco in a blowout to defeat the Atlanta Falcons. 49ers, 31-20. Patriots at Browns. Cleveland is a 3-point favorite at home in the dog pound against New England. I like New England to win and to upset the Cleveland Browns. Number one, the Browns rushing defense is very, very bad. We saw that last week against the Chargers. Even though Cleveland was able to cover last week, I still like New England to keep their run-heavy offense and keep Jacoby Brissett off the field with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But speaking about Jacoby Brissett, Bill Belichick had him on the Patriots roster back in 2016, and he understands Jacoby Brissett's weaknesses and strengths. So they will play to the benefit of having the Patriots defense contain Jacoby Brissett and do whatever Belichick does in terms of taking away their best option and limiting their quarterback. So I really like the Patriots in this spot. Everybody is taking the Browns and 2.5, 3. I have it at 2.5, but everybody's going to be taking the Browns. I like the Patriots. I'm taking the other side. I think New England goes into the dog pound. They steal a win, and I think they come out with the upset and now improve to 3-3. Give me the Patriots to win in a low-scoring affair, 22-19. The New York Jets at the Green Bay Packers. Packers are favored by 7 points. Even though the Jets are on top of the world and now they're 3-2, I like Green Bay to win the cover. Number one, all the bettors are coming in on the Jets because they beat Miami 40-17. If anybody watched that game, the game was as close as 19-14, and then the Dolphins gave up at the end, and then that allowed the Jets to score 21 points in the fourth quarter. But here's another reason why I like the Packers. Aaron Rodgers this season in Lambeau Field has 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a passer rating of 110.1 in 2 games that he played against Chicago and New England. And number 2 is that the Packers, they always come back really, really feisty whenever they lose a game. We saw it against Minnesota. They lost to Minnesota, I think like 23-7. And then they came back and beat the Chicago Bears by 17 plus points. Same thing's going to happen here. I think the Packers will cover the spread against the Jets. I think the Jets are way too overhyped, way too inflated on this line. The public is going to take the Jets. I really like Green Bay. I like Green Bay to win this game and to cover. Packers win 31-23 over New York. Jacksonville at Indianapolis. The Colts are favored by 2 points against the Jaguars. Colts to win and to cover this game and get on top of the AFC South. Number 1 is that even though the Jags beat this team all the time in Jacksonville has a losing record if they go play Indianapolis down in Lucas Oil Stadium. And number 2 is that Jonathan Taylor could potentially be back for this game. All right. But also we have to worry about is that Matt Ryan, even though he has struggled in a couple of times past like the 2 weeks that he has started this season, I see a little bit of connection between him and Alec Burks and him and Michael Pittman Jr. And I'm starting to see that it's getting a little bit better. And the thing I'm worried about with Trevor Lawrence and this Jacksonville Jaguars team is that, like young teams, they start off very hot in the beginning and then they come out a little bit cold. Are we seeing a cold streak with the Jacksonville Jaguars? That's what I pretty much worry about in this matchup. I think the Colts are the better team. Shaq Leonard will play in this game, which will help the defense in this matchup against Jacksonville because he was not able to play in the past 2 games after getting injured against Tennessee Titans. But in this one, I like the Colts. Colts scream, Colts win. Everybody on the public is going to be taking Jacksonville. I really like Indianapolis in this spot, despite not scoring a lot of points in their previous matchups. So give me the Indianapolis Colts to win 24-16 and keep pace in the AFC South and by defeating the Jacksonville Jaguars. Minnesota at Miami. The Vikings are favored by 3.5 points against the Dolphins. I like Miami to win this game and Miami to cover. Number 1 is that it's going to be scorching hot down there in South Florida, about 82 degrees according to the forecast down there, which is very hot for a dome team, and even just a dome team, actual cold weather city team to come down there. And Skylar Johnson has to do just enough to get past this Vikings team. And I like Kirk Cousins. I like Justin Jefferson. But if Xavier Howard can come into this game and match up on Justin Jefferson, I think he can contain him and not allow Kirk Cousins to hit Justin Jefferson his head on the goalpost, which means Adam Thielen will be a factor in this game. But anyways, I really like the Dolphins here. The Dolphins are very limited. It doesn't matter if they have Tua or Teddy Bridgewater or even this new rookie Skylar Johnson. I still like the Dolphins here. They can run the ball, pound it against the Minnesota Vikings the same way that Chicago did last week. So I really like the Miami Dolphins to win this ball game and be my upset of the week. Dolphins win 23-20 over the Minnesota Vikings. Cincinnati Bengals at the New Orleans Saints. The Bengals are favored by 2 points against the Saints. I like Cincy to win this game in the cover. Number 1 is that LSU connection is all around this stadium. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Honey Badger, you name it. They're going to be feisty. It's going to be a battle of the Tigers. And this one, I like the Tigers and Cincinnati Bengals only because of that Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow connection we have seen since last year. And with this one, I don't trust the New Orleans offensive staff or anybody playing with the offensive side of the New Orleans Saints. I don't trust Andy Dalton. I don't trust Jameis Winston. I don't even care who is in that quarterback area in that room. I don't trust anybody. Taysom had a big game, but I don't care. I still like the Bengals here. Yes, they were able to score 39 points on the Seattle Seahawks last week, but keep in mind that's the Seattle Seahawks that allowed the Lions to score 45 points. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals to defeat the New Orleans Saints since he wins 31-24. Baltimore at New York Giants. The Ravens are favored by 6 points. According to Vegas, I like the Ravens to win this game, but I like the Giants to cover. Number one is that I don't trust the Ravens at all whatsoever, okay? They were able to cover against the Jets. They were able to cover against New England. Do those two teams sound like they're world beaters? No, despite the Jets beating the Dolphins, they're not, okay? The two games that they were favored in, which was the Miami Dolphins game, they were favored by 3.5, and also the Cincinnati Bengals, where they were favored about the same line. They either didn't cover the spread and they lost that game. And so in this one, they're favored by 6. I still like the Giants in this spot anyways, because in spite of them traveling cross country to come from London all the way back home to New York, which is a 4-hour flight, I still like the Giants in the spot. Wake Martindale, who is the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants, knows Lamar Jackson and the Greg Roman system while he was in Baltimore the past couple years. So I really like the Giants here in the spot, because the Giants can able to contain Lamar and do whatever they need to do to keep the ball away from Lamar in the offense, due to stealing their defensive coordinator from last year, who has seen Lamar in practice and have seen these wide receivers as well. So I like the Ravens to win this game narrowly, but I think the Giants will cover this game. Just take the Giants in the 6 points. Baltimore wins 26-23 over the New York Giants. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tampa is favored by 8 points over the Steelers. I like Tampa to win this game and to cover against the Steelers. Kenny Pickett is making his first career start at home, and it's against a Bucs team that I don't know what the questions are, but I know the Bucs roster is better than the Steelers roster. And number two is that when TJ Watt's out, I think you just can't bet the Steelers at all. The only way you bet the Steelers if they're an underdog is when they're playing against a divisional opponent like Baltimore, Cincinnati, or even Cleveland. And this one, I just can't see any other way of taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road in Acrisure Stadium, even though it was Heinz Field. Tom Brady has had a good career record against the Steelers, and I think in this one it'll just be another outing for Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I really like Tampa to win this game and to cover. Don't really trust anything about Pittsburgh offensively or defensively. Tampa Bay wins 30-20 over the Steelers. Carolina Panthers at the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are favored by 10.5 points over the Panthers. Despite the Panthers losing their coach and moving on to an interim head coach, I still like the Rams in the spot. The Rams got something to prove, and despite them losing to the Cowboys, the Rams are looking like, we don't know, like a Super Bowl hangover roster at this point. No offensive line. Matthew Stafford has more interceptions than touchdowns. This offense is Cooper Kupp or bust, in my opinion. Ben Skoranek has been moved from wide receiver down to a fullback. That's how bad this entire offense is, and it makes me so worrisome. But this is a Panthers team that has looked like they lost all hope, having Matt Rule get fired. I think in this matchup, just take the Rams in a blowout. Would I be surprised if the Panthers come out and cover the spread? No, off of a late touchdown, but I think the Rams got something to prove before they hit their bye week next week. Give me the Los Angeles Rams to win 33-14 over the Carolina Panthers. Arizona at Seattle. Cardinals are favored by 2.5 points over the Seahawks. I like Arizona to win this game in the cover against Seattle. Number one is that Kyler Murray on these road games against the spread is 17-7-1 in his games. And also number two is that Seattle's defense is atrociously bad. And this is why I like the Cardinals. Kyler Murray in his career against divisional opponents on the road is 4-2. So this is why I just like the Cardinals here. DeAndre Hopkins will return next week, and I think the Cardinals just want to get back to 500 before D-Hop comes back. I have Arizona winning over Seattle. Cardinals win 28-24 and cover the spread. Best matchup of the slate, we have the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. Buffalo is a 2.5-point favorite at Arrowhead. I like the Chiefs to upset the Buffalo Bills. This game, and it's against the spread, is teeter-tottering. I just like the Chiefs. I think this line with Buffalo, because they had all these acquisition and blowing out Pittsburgh last week, was a little bit inflated. Kansas City has always had Buffalo's number, whether if it was in the regular season or was in the postseason. Andy Reid has always had his fair share against Sean McDermott and his Buffalo Bills. Despite them winning by 1 point against the Raiders, could this be because they were overlooking the Raiders to look at the Buffalo Bills later on? I mean, they were down 17-0 and then came back late. I think they were looking ahead to the Buffalo Bills, knowing that the Raiders are the Raiders, who are on a bye week right now. I think that Kansas City knows that they got to get ready for this Buffalo's Bills game, and I think they come out and win it outright. Chiefs win 30-27 over the Buffalo Bills. NFC East divisional matchup, Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 6-point favorites at home in Lincoln Financial Field. I like the Cowboys to upset and win this game against Philadelphia. 6 points is way too much. This line is so inflated. And I think with the Cowboys, have always had the Eagles number in Lincoln Financial Field, whether that's Dak, Romo, or whatever quarterback it was, they always had the Eagles number. I think that Cooper Rush will do his share fair to get the ball down the field, run the ball, make the Eagles play a little bit tight, knowing that they have really good secondary, not throw as much so over the top, but more so in doing slant routes or out routes, or even handing the ball off to Ezekiel Elliott or Tony Pollard. I think the Eagles got a little bit of a scare last week when they played against the Arizona Cardinals down in Arizona, despite winning that game by only a field goal. So I really like the Dallas Cowboys to go into Lincoln Financial Field riding super high after defeating the Los Angeles Rams over here in SoFi. Give me the Dallas Cowboys to defeat the Philadelphia Eagles 24-20. We have the Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 5 points at home down in SoFi. I'm going to go on the opposite side of the spectrum. I'm going with the Denver Broncos to cover this spread, but I think the Chargers win it outright. The Denver Broncos have 10 days, 11 days rest. That's number one. Number two is that the Chargers can't stop the rush. And if anybody watched that Chargers and Browns game, they should have lost that game last week. But also, I think Denver is a play here because this line is inflated because of the game that happened last Thursday night between the Broncos and the Colts. That everybody is going to bet money all over the Chargers. I'm going to swing the opposite way and take Denver. And that the Denver defense is what helps the Broncos prevail into this game. I think the Chargers win this because Justin Herbert is excellent off these Monday night performances. But I think the Denver Broncos will keep this game closer than everybody anticipates it to be. So give me the Denver Broncos to cover this spread, but I like the Chargers to win it. Chargers win 27-23. And that is all for my spread picks. Thank you guys so much for watching No Offseason Media with your host, Amari Sports. I will catch you guys later. Stay safe out there. Catch you guys later. Peace. Hey, I know you see that subscribe button, and I know you see that notification bell. Why don't you just click it? Go ahead. And if you want to tune into more videos, just go ahead and look at this new video that I just posted right here, or go see some of my playlists on this channel.